Hi, and welcome to this Ortask Progress webcast. My name is Mario Gonzalez, and I'm the founder and chief engineer of Ortask. For today's demo, we're gonna explore the test comparison engine here at Ortask. So the test comparison engine, what it does is that it answers the question, what tests in my suite are duplicates? It also answers a question, out of all my tests in my suite, which tests are already covered by a particular test? So the common way to compare tests is with very heavyweight mechanisms. So Microsoft, for example, they have a very heavyweight system whereby to be able to compare and say these two tests are duplicates, you actually have to run your entire test suite against the system under test, and then after that you have to do a lot of post-processing with certain machine learning algorithms. Other research, they rely on a posteriori information. They do basically a post-mortem, but that is not useful. That is not useful for two reasons. One, you have to run the entire test suite, and related to that is that is very expensive. It costs time. And number two, you want to know a priori before running any test which tests are duplicate, what tests cover other tests. And that is the approach that Ortask takes. It's a very lightweight approach. And the way it does it is by using something called the model, which is a mathematical concept. So let's get started here. I'm showing here the test hub, 9 tests in all. Some are unit tests, some are manual, or what they call scripted tests, but it can be any type. Here, for example, we have Ruby unit tests. It actually can be any language, any programming language. It can be Python, can be Perl. For example, let's look at these. This right here is saying that test 1 covers test 5. So let's look at why. So test 1, it's a Ruby unit test that I gathered up from GitHub. From a repository out there, and here Ortask shows us that this Ruby unit test covers another, and here it highlights the steps that cover the other test. And now let's check out the other test. Here we see test 1 covers test 5. So let's check out test 5, and here we see that in fact it goes through the same states. Whereas one of them assigns a variable from the input stream, get C, and stores it in a variable, in a public variable. That's the only thing. That's the only difference. Everything else that is highlighted goes through the same states. So in effect, test 1 covers test 5. And don't worry, I'll mention this to the owner of the GitHub repository. that some of his tests cover other of his tests. So let's go back to the suite. And now let's check out these tests. Test 3 is a duplicate of test 8, but also test 8 is a duplicate of test 3. So Ortask has two concepts: covered and equivalence. It's actually very easy. If test 3 covers test 8 and test 8 covers test 3, then they are duplicates. They are equivalent. So let's check out why they are equivalent, why they are duplicates. Let's look at test 3. So here we have a very simple test, and we want to test the download manager from Google Chrome browser, and we see that we require the browser to open. We download a package, we close a browser during the download, and that's it. We have the post condition here. Now let's look at test 8. Why is it duplicate? Well, we download a package, but then we cut power to the machine while the download is in progress, and this has the same effect. It induces the same abstract states, has the same inferred model which is what Ortask uses. And here you see, for example, that after cutting power to the machine, the browser is no longer open and the package is no longer being downloaded. If we look at test 3, we're going to find the same inferred model. And that is why they are duplicates. The intent of the test is the same. We close the browser, we interrupt the download. Or we cut power to the machine, we interrupt the download. The intent is the same. Alright? So that is why these two tests are duplicates. Now let me create here. Let me write a new test, and let's call it test 10, just to keep with stay with the sequence of tests. And let's say version is 1.0. So whatever system under test we're testing has to be at version 1 when we begin. And then we say upgrade the system to v2. Okay? And then we say post condition, we want to confirm, we want to assert that the version is 2.0. And we save our test. Now when we save tests, Ortask immediately goes ahead and compares a new test with every other test in the suite. And it has found that test 7 covers test 10. Okay? Let's see why. Test 7 covers test 10. And we see here that in fact we have the same induced abstract states as far as the covering steps are concerned. And I'm just gonna open these up a little bit so we can see. Okay, so here Ortask is highlighting the abstract states that are the same with the other test 10. Here you can consider the false being non-existent for the other test. Test 10 does not have conditions about a file system or network. It only has a condition about version being version 1. Let me just highlight that. Version 1, and then doing the upgrade, and then moving to asserting that the version is 2. Now remember that postconditions and preconditions are also abstract states that form part of the model and hence the inferred model, which is what Ortask uses to compare tests. Alright, so that demonstrates coverage. Now let me demonstrate duplication, equivalence. Let's see here, let me write another test 11. And let's say Chrome browser, we want the Google Chrome browser opened. Okay. And then we download a package. Okay. And we say while it downloads, just correct that spelling mistake, pause it. Okay. While the package downloads, we want to pause it, and then we want to say resume it. And suppose here we're Googlers and we're testing the download manager in the Chrome browser, and here we say that the package is downloaded completely. Once we resume it, we want to verify that at the end the package is completely downloaded. Alright, so we save test 11, and again, Ortask, once you save a test, it immediately goes ahead and compares a new test with all the existing tests, and it has found here that it's a duplicate of test 4. Well, let's see why. Okay, so it seemed like someone went ahead here and it used to be an exploratory test case, and they wrote it down. And let's check out the model. So we see that we download a package, so package downloading, then we suspend the download, and the package is no longer downloading. And we resume it, it's suspended, resume it. Okay. So this points out that duplication, i.e. test equivalence, doesn't have to be between two tests that have the same steps or exactly the same number of steps. Why? Because Ortask does not look at the steps. It looks at the abstract states induced by the steps. That is, it looks at the inferred model of the test and compares those. Okay. Alright, so I hope this has been as exciting for you to see as it has been for me to show you what the progress in Ortask has been. And I hope to see you in the next demo.